Bennett & Johnson Insurance Agency in Alma is your local independent auto owners insurance agency.
Hello Raider Nation, and welcome to this edition of the Red Raider Coaches Show. I'm your host, Brent Johnson, along with head football coach Keith Goss. Coach, how you doing?
Doing all right.
I think we talked about that last time.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. That's our little routine we go through just to kind of settle our nerves a little bit, because we're really nervous about these shows. But no, thank you for joining us on this edition. And this is going to be sort of our wrap-up edition as well. Our last official week of the regular season. There is officially one more week. The 10th week is next Friday, but it is a bye week for us. So we will end our region schedule tonight, and in all likelihood the 2021 football season. But we do want to finish recognizing the last couple of weeks. Coach, for various reasons, we were unable to put the show together schedule-wise. I had some softball playoffs and this and that and the other, so it's on me not being able to put these shows together because our schedules are rather busy. But I want to take a moment and finish up talking about basically the other half of these major sponsors, these boosters that have helped provide for our football team over the summer and throughout this 2021 football season. And the first is K&L Barbecue, followed by Parker's Food Mart, Pineland Bank, Prime South, Southside Church of God, State Farm, Titan, and Walker Jones. All of these are familiar to all of you that are watching this show. They're either residents and local businesses right here in Alma and Bacon County. There's a couple over in Waycross that I've mentioned, and one specifically in Baxley. That's K&L, and then we have Walker Jones and Prime South. So we do want to thank all of these businesses and industries for being a part, once again, of the Red Raider Booster Club, the Football Booster Club or Touchdown Club, that, again, provides a lot for these young men, whether it's through, it helps to pay for T-shirts and shorts and cleats and
just all the expenses of football.
Yeah.
There's
meals, a lot of
it's meals feeding the kids.
So and again, we couldn't do it without it, and that's what it takes to run and grow a program. So we do appreciate the money and then the moral support as well. Coach, a couple of things we want to mention before we start talking about football. In our last home game, it was senior night. And before we talk about the seniors just a moment, we hosted East Lawrence, and we had a drawing. We sold some tickets like we've done the last about 6 years now. If I recall, is when we first came over to I think this is our 7th year maybe giving this award out. But we created the Coach Duck Taylor Scholarship. It's a $1,000 scholarship that we've been able to award a worthy senior representative of the football program. And this is not necessarily the star football player. It's a well-rounded person, just as Coach Duck was as a human being and then as a coach as well, as he was a part of the football program. So it has to do with the integrity of the young man. You know, obviously him playing football had a lot to do with it, but his GPA has to do with academics and all. It's just, again, that well-rounded,
all-around award.
Representation. One moment. Break time. Sorry about that. First time I think that's ever happened.
First time for this year for sure.
Yeah, I forgot about. I have like 12 alarms on my phone throughout the day to remind me of different things. Scholarship, but I want to recognize Kylie Griffin. I'm not sure how many tickets she bought, but
She was the big winner.
she was the big winner. That's a $1,000 grill. Actually, a little over 1,000. I want to thank Ace Hardware. They basically donate that at cost to the Touchdown Club, which helps out greatly. But really nice grill here. You can control it with your app on your phone, all kinds of cool stuff.
I don't know all the neat stuff it does. I just hear people talk about it.
Yeah.
It's always there's always one more thing on it than I knew before.
That's right.
So-
I just want to invite, right? You just want to, hey, can you cook something for me? You know. that
Now
kind of-
I do think the players might be going over and watching some of the Florida Georgia game there with
the Griffins.
the Griffins
Okay.
and cooking out on it.
Oh,
So
good.
they might be
They're gonna break it in.
they're
tomorrow.
gonna break it in.
Yeah, go Dogs. Okay, Coach. All that transpired at our last home game, which I mentioned a moment ago was senior night, and that we hosted East Lawrence, a team we talked earlier in the season that's improved.
They've improved. Coach Turner has done a good job. They are, battling for a playoff spot. I think they have to win one of the next two to get in, and then still may need some help besides that. But it was a very competitive game. We just didn't come out on the right side.
Right. Well, before we get into the X's and O's a little bit of that game, I want to recognize the seniors that were recognized that night, and I've got them on paper just so I don't leave anybody off. Caleb Griffin,
Right.
Tyron Dean, who had a monster game, by the way. Zebiante, can't read my own writing. Zebiante Baker, Keandre Young, who was injured a few weeks ago. He's had surgery and he is in the process of recovery. Hoping to get him healed up so he can have an opportunity to play at the next level. Jamal Hart, another fine young man, and then Abraham Mesa, our kicker, as well. So
And right tackle.
And our right tackle. We had 6 seniors that were recognized on Friday night. I want to thank them for being a part and sticking with our Red Raider program, especially this year. And I want to recognize as well, I know our radio guys mentioned at several different games that Tyron Dean is the only senior that has played all 4 years of his high school career.
That's correct. I think there was only 3 people that played 3 freshmen that started. It was him and 2 other players his freshman year that were in his class.
Yeah.
So that class only started off with 3 people playing in it. That number was doubled.
Yeah.
So there you go.
There you go. Well, I saw him the other day, and I congratulated him. I know it wasn't quite how he wanted his last senior game to end up, but the young man, he really played his heart out that night. I think he had 158 total yards receiving, and just made some terrific.
He had 8 or 9 catches.
Yeah, just a fantastic ball game to end his senior career. Very, very proud of that young man. All right, Coach. The first thing that stood out to me is, man, how hard our boys come out and played that game.
There's been a lot of things they've had to overcome adversity-wise. A lot of people have quit on them, and that's just the reality. So it's a lot of people, their peers, their friends. They thought they were going to be there in battle with them, and that takes an emotional toll. And our guys, finally showed signs of overcoming that. Went out there and played together with the ones that want to be out there and want to work and want to do right. And they battled their tail off.
And you could tell. And the crowd, our band was, man, they were jamming, and the crowd was in it the whole game. Not just when it was really competitive in the first half, and as we started the second half. You just couldn't help but pull for those kids, and again, just how hard they were playing, and 85% of them playing both ways the whole game. A couple kids, I don't know if they even come off the field. You know, and that alone, you know, takes a toll on you physically and mentally. But just proud of how they showed up that night and played their butts off. Gave it everything they had, left it all on the field.
Now, there's the commitment level of the ones we have out there, the Red Raiders we have out there, are true Red Raiders. They're going to fight through it, and I couldn't be more proud of them.
Yeah, well, we couldn't either. Vidalia this week, and this will be our last regular season game. Again, I mentioned right at the beginning, there's one more week of the season, but it is a bye week or off week for us. So we will go travel over to Vidalia tonight. A quick reminder, you can purchase tickets online. I don't have that web address with me right here. I'll try to overlay it on the coaches so that you will see it. But you can, they will not be taking cash at the gate. You can use a debit or credit card to purchase a ticket to get in or purchase your way in, but they're not accepting cash due to some COVID protocols and those types of things. But we'd love to see you travel over to Vidalia tonight to support this team. One last game this season, but Vidalia probably one of the teams that struggled mightily out of our region because we're so used to seeing them up at the top. And even on their down years, it seems like they're still 1, 2, 3 in the region.
Right.
But they're fighting for that 3 or 4 spot.
They are. They've struggled with a lot of things like COVID, like we have. I know early in the season, and then they've been in some tough ball games and just not come out on the right side of them. I think they lost to Toombs last week, 21-19 or 21-18. 21-19, I believe.
Yeah.
So it was, they're right there in it, but they just haven't been coming out on the right side of them.
Yeah. Well, Coach, anything different this week that we might see as far as offense, defense, kids playing?
No, I mean, we're going to have some guys. Obviously, we're working in different spots to build depth to different places. Guys that maybe haven't played as much linebacker, coming in and filling some holes there.
Yeah.
But no, we're just going to keep working, keep building, try to build depth with getting guys have the ability to play on both sides of the ball. The majority of the guys probably will be starting both ways at this point, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's kids are working hard. Practice has been fun.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much more fun practice is when you don't have people complaining all the time. So it's it's been great at that aspect. The kids are having a lot more fun.
Well, I normally we don't point kids out too much on the show for various reasons. But I want you to, and I didn't talk to you about this. A lot of times we discuss some things before the show begins, some things I might ask you, but I don't think I'll put you on the spot too much. Tell us a little bit about our quarterback. He's a
Nicosia has
yes.
done just a tremendous job with the amount of offense we've given him and what he still does for us defensively. The character of that young man is just the highest level you could expect. I couldn't be, just like the rest of our guys that we still have out there that not just, great, young men, guys that are going to be future leaders in this community and do just great things in life.
Well, from my understanding through the summer, I know we had Riker Tomlin moved in and was quarterback for us for a little bit, and there was that was a pretty relatively smooth transition. But Nicosia, he was okay with it. Matter of fact, I heard he didn't necessarily want to play quarterback per se. He liked being receiver. He liked playing defense.
He preferred defensive back.
Yeah.
But this just speaks to his character.
Mm-hmm.
The coach is going to do whatever the team needs to be done. Whatever the team needs him to do, that's what Nicosia's going to do. He's a high character team guy, and that's just a credit to his raising and his family, and the people that have raised him up from when he was young, because he gets the bigger picture.
Well, that's 2 for 2. I mentioned before the show that folks, if you didn't hear on the radio last week. The interview that Joe Hayes had with, he always interviews a couple players and maybe a cheerleader and those types of things each year or each week. But Tyler Thomas was interviewed last week, and Joe asked him that question. I remember specifically. He said, what position? Basically something to the effect, what position do you play or would you like to play? That kind of thing. Which one do you prefer? I think because he plays a couple positions. He said, I'll play wherever they need me. I'll do whatever coach needs me to do. That was his exact words. And so again, that tells you a lot about the character of the kid.
That's right.
And the coachability and the buy-in and again that Raider way. So again, I just commend those guys. So folks, we're going to be traveling again over to Vidalia tonight. We will be broadcasting on the NFHS network, powered by Play on Sports, and brought to you by us, BCTV's Red Raider Broadcasting. I always enjoy going to Vidalia. They're very good hosts. Their radio broadcast, and his name, I forget his name at the moment.
His last name's Cook.
Cook. Is that right?
Maybe not.
I won't guarantee that.
Yeah.
But he's a professional. He does a fantastic job for the Indian Network, and he does a lot of different other sports as well. But he's a gracious host when we get there. They usually have a big spread of food prepared for us if we choose to. And we usually play Vidalia later in the season. It's going to be cool tonight. It's going to be football Friday night under the lights. It's going to be about in the 50s, low 50s before the end of the game. So I'm excited about that. Just a great venue again, their stadium and that sort of thing. So I encourage you to come over. Short drive, 50 minutes or so to Vidalia to support these young men. And just on a final note, on a personal note for myself, I know that Coach, there's been a lot of questions asked, and I guess rightly so from the outside looking in, about the kids that are no longer on the team for various reasons. We started out with roughly 60 something, and now we're down, to about 25 or 6 dressing out this week, I believe. But again, a lot of questions about why they left the team. But I would encourage folks to let's ask why these guys stuck it out. Let's ask why these guys are still on the team. I think that says a lot. Talk to them about why they're still on the team, because these guys knew these last 4 or 5 weeks that they were up against it. They were between a rock and a hard place, playing some real quality teams. It was going to be difficult to defeat and even compete with. But they've come to practice every day since then and done everything they've been asked to do. And the very least they deserve is our support, our continued support from Raider Nation. So I want to encourage you to do that. These young men, again, led by these 6 seniors, first and foremost. I've gone to each and every one of them personally. The only one I've missed, and I won't call his name, but there's only, there's 2 that I've missed. I've been to the other 4 that I personally told them I appreciated how much as seniors specifically, that they made the choice to stay and represent not only our team but themselves and our community, and set an example for these younger guys, which is about all our team is made of now, freshmen and sophomore, making a huge impact, hopefully, in those young men's lives as they move forward and make decisions in the future. So, again, I encourage you to come out tonight, after I said that, to support these guys on our Red Raider football team. And Coach, appreciate you showing up for these the coaches shows this year. And again, we look forward to moving forward in the off season and continue to prepare our Red Raider football program for years to come. So thank you again for joining us on the Red Raider Coaches Show.
Bennett & Johnson Insurance Agency in Alma is your local independent auto owners insurance agency.